Discover how to become a psychologist. Do you find yourself sitting down with friends and picking their brains, studying their habits, and assisting them in sorting through their less than conscious issues? Perhaps the minds of infants, the elderly, couples, or even corporations will fuel up your cerebral engines. In any case, becoming a psychologist could be your calling. Preparing for college. 1. Make sure you get decent grades in high school. This is less about being a psychologist and more about how to be successful in life. If you want to have a decent job, and be good at it, you must work hard and attend a good institution. To get into a reputable institution, you must first achieve strong grades in high school. Do you see the connection? Take psychology classes if they are available at your school. This contains a Psych as well. The sooner you start thinking about this, the better. Sociology and other related studies will also be beneficial. 2. Begin working or volunteering right away. If you're in high school right now, chances are your hobbies will change as you get older. However, if you have a strong idea of where you want to go in life, the best time to start is right now. Try to obtain experience working with anyone you picture yourself working with and wherever you see yourself working. This could take the shape of volunteering at your local hospital, women's shelter, or with a huge company. This will not only make applying to colleges easier, but the more people you know today, the more people you will be able to ask for favors later. 3. Speak with your guidance counselor. He can tell you about the various paths to the degree you desire, as well as the various possible employment situations that await you. The therapist can inform you which path will lead to the career outcome you desire. Furthermore, they will be able to provide you with information about potential study programs. They'll be able to tell you which institutions have the greatest programs for the type of psychology you're interested in. And, when the time comes, they'll get you started on scholarships and financial aid. 4. Learn as much as you can about psychology as a whole. There are a plethora of subspecialties to consider. When individuals say, "I want to be a psychologist," they usually mean clinical psychology, which entails sitting down with one or two people and hacking away at the subconscious. However, there are several other branches that are all worth exploring early on. Organizational and industrial psychology is the study of human psychology in large organizations and industrial work situations. Clinical psychology is the study of human psychology in clinical settings such as hospitals and mental health facilities, as well as psychotherapy. The study of internal mental processes such as problem-solving, memory, perception, and communication is known as cognitive psychology. Neuropsychology is the study of the brain and the nervous system in relation to human psychology and behavior. 5. Investigate several degree programs. The simplest route is to select a college with a good program for acquiring a bachelor's degree in psychology. Check to see if they offer the branch you're interested in, if you've narrowed it down, and what kind of work they require at the end. Some may provide programs that are more equivalent to graduate programs, theses and such, while others may be a little less rigorous. It is technically possible to enter a master's program if your school also offers it. However, you must be quite confident of what you're entering into. A BA in psychology allows you to take on schooling for 4 years at a time. A master's degree includes all of that work and more, plus a couple additional years. Getting your bachelor's degree. 1. Enroll at a 4-year university. Working as a psychologist necessitates an advanced degree, although first a bachelor's degree is required. You may not have to major in psychology, but you should have a degree that is related to the discipline. Here are a few alternatives to consider. Human advancement. This research looks at the development of a child from birth through adulthood. Sociology is the study of people. This field investigates how humans act in social groups. Anatomy and physiology. If you are particularly interested in cognitive psychology and how the brain functions, this is a suitable bachelor's degree to pursue. The study of chemistry. This type of research is better suited to cognitive psychology than clinical psychology since it focuses on the science behind human behavior rather than the behavior itself. 2. Participate in research. Many university psychology departments do their own psychological research. Students take part as study subjects and as research assistants. Research experience is essential for admission to a graduate program. This is more appropriate for your junior or senior year of college. It is not uncommon for your TA or professor to advertise that so-and-so is seeking for a research assistant in your classes. If you have a 3.5 or better and blah blah blah, you can apply during Professor Zimbardo's office hours at. You get the idea. When the opportunity arises, seize it. It will come in handy later. 3. Choose a focus, a minor, or a double major. If you began your freshman year with a psych major, you may discover that you have extra time to devote to your focus or perhaps a second major. Furthermore, it makes good sense. With a concentration or minor, you can begin to consider the rest of your career. A minor in gender studies could lead to a research project on women, consolidating your experiences and making the grad school application process that much easier. A double major is a fantastic idea, especially if it's something a little more practical than psychology. There are many cruelties in the liberal arts world, and you may discover that a second major in business or marketing may better serve your wallet in the future. 4. Begin working on a research project. Many college degrees will allow you to graduate with a BA in psychology without having to do any research. Avoid it if at all possible. You are not required to vomit forth tomes of experimental brilliance, but you should try to rub shoulders with a professor or two who will let you churn the data or punch some figures. That's what the summers are for, people. Stay on campus for 3 months if you have nothing to do. Speak with a couple of your tush or professors, demonstrate your eagerness, and see what they can come up with. They'll probably enjoy seeing a fresh kid who is as enthusiastic about psychology as you are. 5. Recognize that this isn't the end. What the $30,000 a year school won't tell you is that a BA in psychology is code for skimming the foam off finicky coffee customers' orders. While Starbucks has a decent employee benefit package, it's probably not what you were looking for. You're off to graduate school. Let's be honest. A PhD is required to be a straight-up, legitimate psychologist like the one you presumably have in your head. While a master's degree is useful and will open a few doors, a PhD will open all the doors down the hall. A master's degree may allow you to use the adjective, psychological assistant, whilst a PhD allows you to use the noun, group psychologist. 6. Think about medical school. Many individuals are unsure of the distinctions between a psychiatrist and a psychologist. Because a psychologist does not attend medical school, he or she cannot prescribe medicines. If you want to be a psychiatrist, someone who can administer medication, you must first become a physician. If this is the path you wish to take, you'll need to take the MCAT instead of the GRE. Going to medical school is not the same as going to graduate school. Which of these appeals to you? Applying to graduate school. 1. Take the GRE exam. You'll need to take the GRE if you want to go to graduate school. It's recommended to take it in the fall, before the winter, spring application deadlines. And the better you perform, the more, and better, schools you will be admitted to. Begin studying months before the exam. Your GRE scores may assist you in deciding between an MA and a PhD. If you don't achieve perfect GRE results the first time, try again. Most PhD schools expect a high score. Master's programs may be less demanding. Your GRE results are valid for up to 5 years. If you don't know what life has in store for you next year, you can still take it and apply to colleges in the next years. 2. Decide what type of employment you wish to do. At the graduate level, there are 4 sorts of programs to choose from: IO, clinical, counseling, and experimental. Knowing which type you want to concentrate on and pursue will influence which institution you attend and the path you take. IO is an abbreviation for industrial, organizational. Working with corporations or organizations is involved. In the end, you'll work for a company and focus on morale and HR-related duties. When most people hear the word psychologist, they envision something clinical. Your therapist, shrink, has a background in clinical psychology. Counseling is similar to clinical work, but you'll most likely wind up working in a school or government setting, such as a prison. If you want to have a private practice, this is not the path to take. Experimental psychology is more research-based and, as the name suggests, focused on experiments. Though it may include various fields, it focuses on applying theories and procedures, ironing out kinks, and discovering new ideas. 3. Decide on your focal point. Psychology is a vast field. Even after deciding on a branch, clinical, for example, you must narrow your emphasis within that branch. Concentrating on one subcategory will decide where and how you will work as a psychologist once you graduate. There are so many alternatives: educational psychology, rehabilitative psychology, environmental psychology, psychology and the law, trauma psychology, forensic psychology, criminal psychology, cross-cultural psychology, and so on, that we'd be here all day if we listed them all. Hopefully, your undergrad program exposed you to a variety of them. Which one piqued your interest the most? 4. Choose if you desire a master's, a PhD, or a PsyD. A master's degree takes significantly less time and money, but it may result in a lower salary and fewer work opportunities. If you desire to continue your study, you may find it challenging to transfer from a master's to a PhD program. Take a moment for yourself and consider the following. Master's programs last 2 to 3 years, with the final year serving as an internship in which you accumulate hours in the field. A master's degree program will typically prepare you to work as a marital and family therapist, industrial psychologist, or school psychologist. Doctoral programs are 6 to 7 years long. Depending on how you complete it, it could be considerably longer, and include a year-long internship. A PhD program trains you to work as a psychologist at a hospital, clinic, or other type of institution. Recognize that there are other doctoral degrees available, including the PsyD program, less common, less research-based, 5 years to finish. Also, keep in mind that many PhD programs offer financial assistance to students who, in most cases, work for the university as teaching and research assistants. Typically, master's schools do not provide this level of financial assistance. Allow your interests to guide you here. If you wish to have a private practice, pursue a PhD. Get your master's degree if you want to be a school psychologist. 5. Find the best school for you. When it comes to your career as a psychologist, it's evident that you have a lot of possibilities. As a result, each school is unique and has its own set of strengths and shortcomings. If you wish to work as an industrial psychologist with a focus on cross-cultural work settings and diversity, make sure your university has an excellent program in that area of psychology. Most schools will have a focus, such as one that is a strong clinical school and another that is a strong experimental school. Check to see whether this aligns with your goals. It's also critical that your school's philosophical perspective fits yours. If you are a fervent supporter of psychoanalysis, you may not be satisfied attending a humanistic school. Which school of thinking do you belong to? 6. Scholarships, assistantships, and grants for research. Going to graduate school for years on end will cost a lot of money in the end. Look for grants and scholarships before you find yourself staring at piles and mounds of debts. The lower the cost of making money, the better. Hopefully, your school will provide you with some form of reduced tuition help, such as being a TA or working in an affiliated hospital or other institution. This will help with your finances, but it will also make it difficult to work another job while studying. It's best to get all of your financial ducks in a row before diving in. Succeeding in grad school. 1. Participate in Psy-Chi or your school's psychological club. It will be beneficial to have sympathy nearby when you are learning. The Psy-Chi club will provide you with a wealth of information as well as moral support. This may also help you get work after you graduate. Essentially, the more people you know, the better off you will be. The Psy-Chi club probably has an excellent relationship with a few professors, which is your bread and butter right now. 2. Obtain an internship. Your school will most likely assist you with this because it may be necessary for graduation, at least for the PhD candidates. Full-time, supervised training will provide you with the most valuable experience before you begin working on your own. In most cases, this will be your final school year. It's a genuine job, you'll be working full-time and being paid, or, at the very least, free tuition. You're nearly there. This is pretty much the end of the road for PsyD candidates. 3. Finish your dissertation. Completing your dissertation is the final step toward becoming a full-fledged psychiatrist if your program requires it, well, apart from licensure. Depending on your program, this might be done before, during, or after your internship. If you have completed all of your courses but have yet to write your dissertation, you are referred to as OBID, or all but dissertation. It's obvious that if there's an abbreviation for it, it's a common occurrence. 4. Consider furthering your education. Even after receiving your PhD, there is still much to learn. A one-year postdoctoral appointment at a university can assist you acquire a high-level position. However, many graduates do not pursue this path. But it's there if you want to be famous all around the world. Some graduates will not require a postdoctoral position. However, if you complete one, it may count toward your licensure. Simply be aware of your state's standards so that you may organize it accordingly. Finding a job. 1. Begin with supervision. In many places, getting your license requires a year or two of supervised practice, if you need it at all. You'll be working in a hospital or university under the supervision of an experienced professional. Obtaining a license in many states involves hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of labor. Fortunately, the last several years have prepared you for this moment. You should be familiar with at least one organization that has a position for you, or you can use one of the numerous instructors you've worked with to get your foot in the door somewhere. 2. Obtain a license. And you thought graduate school was the end of the paperwork? No way. You must pass the EPPP, Examination for Professional Practice in Psychology, compile a dossier of all your work, and record all of your supervised work hours. The regulations differ by state, so do your homework. It can also vary greatly. For example, California only requires 3,000 hours, whereas Michigan requires 6,000. When it comes to licensing, you're definitely looking at around $1,000 in expenses. You'll be purchasing study materials, applying for jobs, and paying for exams. Some states also have an oral exam, but others just have a jurisprudence exam. Many countries have their own licensing procedures, which you may not have learned about in graduate school. More information on how to obtain a license can be obtained on websites such as the American Psychological Association. 3. You must work on your own. Now that you've gathered all of your credentials, it's time to strike out on your own. Thank you very much. You can work unassisted almost any place and for anyone. Your only limitation is the distance you are ready to travel. Many psychologists eventually launch their own private practice, at least after carving out a place in their chosen community. This implies you'll be working for yourself. Start networking now if this is a dream of yours. 4. Become a member of the American Psychological Association. You will then be able to attend national and regional conferences as well as use all of their online resources. That's far superior to becoming a Starbucks Gold member. Over 15,000 early career psychologists are members of the APA. They're all networking and learning from one another. If you're looking for a new job, you know who to call. 5. Be prepared to migrate. Once you get your degree, the best method to get the job you desire is to be willing to relocate to the location of the jobs. Psychologists are in high demand everywhere, but in today's market, the ideal job might not be where you are. It will be highly useful if you are willing to move, especially in your early years. Check that your driver's license is valid in the state you're moving to. You certainly don't want to take the EPPP again. The pay for psychologists varies substantially by region. You won't be able to charge as much if you live in a small town full of blue-collar workers as you would if you lived in an upper-class suburb. Though living expenses should be considered, where you set up shop may play a significant role in your overall income. 6. Keep up to date. Once you've been certified as a psychologist, you'll need to continue practicing and attending seminars in order to satisfy the powers that be and keep your license, in addition to reapplying every so often. Each state has its own set of laws, so be sure you're familiar with yours. It's also critical to keep on the cutting edge of your industry. You don't want to be telling everyone and their brother about hypotheses that have lately been proven to be incorrect. Continue to read, attend lectures, and educate yourself. Thanks for watching. Now you know how to become a psychologist. Follow your dream.